Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Target Practice, a podcast about great managers, interesting data, and important decisions. I'm Nir Gerson, CEO of Target Board AI. Every episode, I sit down with great executives leading in their field and talk about how they think about data, AI, and decision making. Today, I have with us Raviv Chalamish, who is VP of Product at Snyk, which is one of the greatest data security companies in the world. Raviv has in his background over 20 years leading product organizations in startups and scale-ups, and I'm really excited to have him here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Raviv, you've had a really interesting career, and we touched base on multiple points throughout. What's like one accomplishment that you're super proud of?
Yeah, I think one of the big project I was very proud of was related to my work at Bring, which is logistics kind of technology related to delivery, very complex type of deliveries. And the company when I joined was very project led model. Basically very large customers. Each customer had lots of requirements, and it was very project led, collecting the requirements from the customer and building whatever they need. This really wasn't scalable. Customers were not happy because they were not getting what they needed in the right time. And the main thing was to transform the way the company sells, implements, and also, of course, the product itself to support it into a self-service platform. I mean, a real product that all the customers are using the same thing. So it needs to be much more flexible. It needs to be easier to use, very well documented, and easy to implement, quick time to value, although it's a very complex type of solution. So it took a couple of years, but we successfully done that. I mean, when it comes to metrics, I know you like metrics. We did reduce the implementation time more than 70%. I mean, quicker from purchase to actually getting full value and fully deployed. And also the NPS at the company at the time was minus 13, which was really bad. And we're able to get to positive 38 between those 2 years. Again, showing how this transformation of how Bring sales implements and how we manage a product was really successful with the business outcomes. So I was very, very proud about that work.
It's a great turnaround, and also it's amazing that you were able to catch the customer reaction to it. Okay, now what's something that you wish you would have done differently?
Yeah, well, I have many regrets. I've made many mistakes throughout the career for sure. But when I'm looking back into things that I would have done differently, it's actually related to um, a reduction in workforce that we had to do at a certain time. I had at the time product design, engineering. It was a pretty big team of close to 130 people. And throughout about a 2 years period, we reduced that to be 70 people, again, related to the general market conditions, financials, company performance, etc. But we were trying to minimize the reductions as much as possible at any given time because we really cared about the people and we wanted to keep as many as we can because everybody were really good people. Uh, so we ended up doing those reductions in multiple waves, not intentionally. I mean, we thought it would be only one wave, but then it became a second one and third one and fourth one. Um, and each time we wanted to do the necessary minimum, but the results were actually the opposite because we eventually had to do more. It kind of caused a I would say a psychological challenge where people were not feeling safe, were not sure when the next shoe would drop, and that was definitely a challenge when it comes to motivation overall. And in retrospect, we probably should have done it in one or maybe two much larger waves instead of doing it in smaller ones. And it was very emotional for me as well, each one of those things. So it had a big impact on my work and my morale in addition to the team. So I would not suggest doing those type of reductions to any other company.
That's a common consideration. Cutting early and deep is often safer. So, what would be a situation where you felt that you needed to make a decision, an important decision, and you needed the right data to make it, and the data was there to support you?
I have a couple of examples actually that would be interesting. I mean, one is that I was basically working in the company where we were trying to have a product that works for many different verticals, and um, the the result of that typically, as you know, as a product person, is that you end up being not great for anyone, right? I mean, you are kind of spreading it too thin, and you are not really great on any one vertical. You're kind of okay in multiple type of use cases. And we had a choice of which vertical we want to focus on, and we were always in the assumption on a specific one. Won't get into which one, but that's kind of where we felt that it will be the right one. But then we did a very a deep analysis on the data about sales cycle length, how complicated it is to implement a certain solution for one vertical versus another, LTV and CAC ratio in the past on different verticals, and looking at the TAM. Eventually, we decided to change. Actually, almost a complete change from one vertical to another, where it would have been easier to sell, will be easier to compete, and will provide greater value quicker. And that was all based on analyzing the data. It took a long time to analyze all that historical data and looking at the competitors, doing a really deep SWOT analysis, and eventually that decided to change the direction we were going, which of course affected not just the product roadmap, but also everything around sales and marketing, etc.
Got it. Why was it hard to analyze that historic data?
Um, Not always the data, the data not always exists in the best possible form, and when you're relying on humans to put the data, let's say a salesperson putting the information of lost or a lost or won, it's very subjective, and you don't always trust if it's the right data, so you have to check that. We basically didn't have a very good way to track all of that, which is why it required lots of manual work and validating the data. I mean, maybe if we had a better way to track, and we would have done that from the beginning, it would have been easier to analyze.
So you basically had to go back and manually fix the data hygiene.
Yes, yes. But then there was also thought needed to put into it. Okay, so the data, what does it mean? And we had to basically go back to the data, look at it from a different angle, and seeing how is that impacting. And again, when you are coming to a certain analysis scenario where you already have some type of um, some biased opinion, it's kind of hard to see that the results showing something else, right? So you have to keep on validating and making sure it's right. But yeah, you're correct that we had to do lots of manual fixing on the data, because that was we did have a problem at that time.
Interesting. So you're saying that even the data that was captured was biased. So like, if somebody, closed the deal as lost and that deal, was not in that ICP, then, it would have just been flagged also as the wrong reason or not work.
Could be. I mean, it was a mix of many different things, but yes, as well, because as a company, everybody thought that this is the right direction to go. I would think it's impacted also the different human data that was put in, right? And this is the risk of having the data manually entered. That's for sure.
Super interesting. Now, the flip side of the question, Was there any situation where you needed the data to make a decision and the data was not there?
Yes, actually, remember I told you that I have two scenarios I can think of. So maybe the second example is related to that. So we were thinking about going to a new vertical, kind of a, I would say it's like smaller companies are related to delivery, and they were in order to go to them, they are much smaller companies. So you need to have many of them. You need to have much more PLG type of approach. And we didn't have any data on those because we were never actually tried even to sell to those type of companies. It's completely out of scope. And we wanted to see if that's actually a good one to go after. We had to collect data. The way we did that is that we actually contracted an SDR company that we basically told them this is the target market. Here's the sample companies. Here are the type of personas we want to talk to. Here's the pitch of what we want to sell. We don't really have the product yet. I mean, we have the product, but it wasn't fit for those specific size of companies. And we wanted to see what's the appetite to buy this. Do they have the pain? What's the competition? And we did like a 2 months of an experiment like that, and we got lots of data from that. Because every company they spoke with, they kind of wrote the results, and some of them we actually ended up having a demo, and we showed them the product, and eventually we decided not to go to that vertical, which was a great decision because otherwise we would have wasted a lot of time, both product and go to market. Sometimes taking the decision of not doing something is the best decision you can do because the right thing is to focus, right? And this really helped us focus.
Yeah, I see a lot of companies now doing, using sort of BDR agencies to do market research and collect that data. I think it's a great way of doing that.
Yeah, we
Um,
didn't want to interrupt the existing, marketing and sales. They had enough to do to just close their numbers. So contracting somebody else to do this was really a good way of doing it.
cool. So, what's your take on AI? And I know it's hugely disruptive in your field right now. Where do you think it's going?
Tough question. It's we are living in very interesting times. It's like it's definitely in a very very big revolution, and we are part of that. I don't know. It is there's lots of unknowns there, specifically in the space I am at now with security. There's a big question on where this would go. If we look at autonomous security, reviews, remediation, many of that can be done with LLMs in a super great way. And that's a question of how would security companies like Snyk will adapt to that area. So we have lots of discussion about that. I won't tell you that we got to any specific conclusions about how this impact the market, but we're not waiting. We're actually doing a very big investment in securing AI generated code, and also agents, everything related to AI. We actually changed the platform name and the focus we are doing. It's about AI security platform, because that's where everything is going. Right? I mean, we can definitely see the trend. So there's so this is how specifically for Snyk we are completely change our roadmap and our investment to focus around the AI market. But I would really think how would that impact our customers as well? Like for example, when it comes to compliance, right? I mean, every large company needs to deal with compliance. I'm talking about PCI, SOC 2, ISO, etc. Right? And most of the controls are saying that somebody else that didn't develop that feature needs to review it, right, in order to approve it, right? There's controls in place. But if this was developed by AI and the review is done by a different agent, by AI, is that considered to be reviewed by somebody else, or is that the same reviewer? I don't know how this will change, but there's so much code being written automatically by AI. I think everything that relates to compliance is going to be a very big question, and I wonder where would that go.
Yeah, but we're definitely seeing, with our customers, much more code being written and a lot of issues around both reviews and compliance. And in general, the developers that are submitting code that they never even read or have no idea what's actually inside. I think it's going to create a huge debt problem,
Correct.
um, and complexity problem, but it sort of also because there's more code, so every time you need to make any change, and it's more tokens. So it's creating like a token bubble, and there are multiple token bubbles. What's another one? So I think it's going to be really interesting. Okay, now if you had to suggest one metric or one KPI for product managers to focus on, something that would be non-trivial, your secret sauce, what would it be?
I don't know if I'll see that as a surprising metric. I think it's as a product executive, I can say that um, most companies end up looking at metrics that relates to delivery. While the most important metrics is not that. Most important metrics is, of course, the value that whatever is being developed is providing to the customers in the company. I know it sounds trivial, and everybody knows that, right? When you develop a product, it's all about the value. It's all about the customer. But somehow, because of pressure from large customers or pressure from sales or just a competitive pressure, it becomes more on delivering something on time. You end up doing a check. Okay, this was delivered. Let's move on. While you didn't really finish what you started and didn't provided the full value that is needed. So when it comes to metrics, um, measuring the success needs to be success of the business and the customer satisfaction, and not measuring did we deliver X number of features in the quarter as we plan on the roadmap, right? Which is many times what companies end up doing. It's easier said than done because it's obviously it's much harder to measure adoption and success, but it's important. Of course, there are tools for it, and tools like Pendo Amplitude that looks at what the customers are actually doing, talking with customers, getting the real type of sentiments from them. Things like NPS are definitely much more important than if you met the delivery timeline. So I would say this is probably the most important thing for product executives to keep an eye for.
Hear the voice of the customer and the voice of the business, and sort of don't box yourself into Jira, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not about how much or how quickly you deliver something. It's better to deliver less things but then do them well than doing lots of things and all of them are half baked, basically.
Raviv, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, like always. This has been our episode for today, and if you liked it, then please join us next time.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, everyone.